accordance with Governor Cuomo's Order 202.1. And until further notice, all of the board's meetings will be held remotely. So we ask the public to continually check the town's website for updates and new information. There are also options on the website for public comments and to pre-register to speak on public hearings. So please consider that for all future meetings. If you wish to view tonight's live meeting only, please do not join the Zoom meeting. If you wish to be heard during a meeting but did not pre-register, please go to the town's meeting portal. Choose the meeting group from the drop-down on the left, and you will find the information required to join the Zoom meeting. With that, I'd ask that you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will be starting this meeting with the public hearings. We have applicants and members of the public standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. Charles Certain will mute the speakers until it is their time to give testimony before the board. Please be patient. If you find that you have having difficulties accessing the hearings, please visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. Also, there are a few public hearings that will not be heard tonight or adjourned, or because they're going to be adjourned. So please listen to hear when they will be rescheduled for, and we'll be doing that shortly. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking, other than attorneys, will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. Board members who must recuse themselves from any application will state so on the record and will be removed from the meeting until the end of the hearing. Unless otherwise stated at the end of each hearing, all of these applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until February 8th, 2021. Those comments can be addressed to the board secretary, Candace, and sent via email, mail, and/or dropped off at town hall. Additionally, in accordance with the governor's order, these hearings will be recorded and will be posted on the town's website. Before we start the meeting, I'd also like to introduce Anthony Trezza, Principal Planner from the Southampton Town Planning Department, who will be following tonight's meeting via Zoom and working with the ZBA this year, as he has been assigned to assist the board with any questions or related application issues that may arise. Good evening, Anthony.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Anthony.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. I guess with that, we will get started with adjournments. Unless, Anthony, you want to say something. You'd like to?
Nope, I appreciate the opportunity just to observe the board and how you process and review your applications. And we'll see going forward what kind of assistance I can provide the board on any planning matters that you get. So I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. And we really appreciate having you available for any questions we may have. So I think it will probably only make our public hearings better to have you available. So we greatly appreciate your participating. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. And with that, we will get started with adjournments.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to go for the approval of minutes?
I got minutes. Okay. So I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting as well as an amendment. So we'll start with the minutes of our last meeting.
Don't move.
Okay. And we have a second?
Second.
Okay. This is for the minutes of our last meeting in December. Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And then we also have an amendment to the minutes just to correct, I think, who was present at different times during the meeting. So do we have a motion to approve the amendment to the minutes?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Now we'll go on to the adjournments.
Okay, and there are some. We will start at item 5 on the agenda, which is Edward Burke Jr. and Patricia Burke. I'm going to move to adjourn that to our February 4th meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
And then item 6, 7, and 8 on the agenda. Production, 6 is Productions Holding LLC and Tyrone Tertiary. And 7 is just Tyrone. And 8 is the Production Holding Company LLC. I'm going to move that we adjourn those 3 to our March 4th meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
All right.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Number 9 on the agenda, which is 135 New Light LLC. I'll move to adjourn that to our February 4th meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
All right.
Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And I just want to mention there may be some people who are on the Zoom right now who are waiting to be heard in connection with the 135 New Light LLC application. So that's going to be adjourned until February 4th. However, please check check just before the February 4th meeting to make sure that it is on February 4th. You can actually reach out to Candace to confirm. Also, our agenda may be posted. It may indicate whether there's an adjournment of that date. But as of now, it's on for February 4th.
Item 10 on the agenda is 65 Cliff Drive LLC. I'll move to adjourn that to our February 4th meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
All right.
Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And the same thing for anyone who's waiting to be heard in connection with any of the applications that are being adjourned tonight, but also specifically for 65 Cliff Drive LLC. As of now, it is adjourned until February 4th. But please, check our agenda prior to that meeting, and feel free to reach out to Candace just to make sure that on the 4th of February, that the adjourn date actually takes place, because it could end up getting adjourned again.
Okay, item 13 on the agenda, which is Robert Raphael. I'll move that we reopen that.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And I just want to mention, so this is at the request of John Bennett, who's the attorney for the applicant. And so he's seeking it to be reopened for the testimony. Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
It's also,
Yep. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Katie.
that's okay. I just was gonna say this is also specifically because we haven't heard, we made the referral to Janice Scherer for the Coastal Erosion Hazard Administrator, and we haven't heard back from her. So we need her referral, and they need an opportunity to respond.
Okay. All right. So Keith, I think you had voted aye.
I did.
Okay. Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are now reopened.
Okay, now I'll move to adjourn Robert Raphael to our January 21st meeting.
Okay. For further testimony.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Second.
Wait. Okay. Mr. Tudhill,
All right.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, and the decision calendar, Stacy Mintz. I'll move to reopen so we can accept written submissions. All
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
right.
Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
And now I'll move to I'll move to close it with a determination later this evening.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Tudhill,
All right.
Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, and the next 3, which are Bencar Building Corp. JAB Properties Associates LP, and Stephen Lankler. Excuse me. I'll move that we adjourn those decisions to January 21st.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
And then we also have Newhouse, John and Audrey Newhouse, Scaletta and Cress, Almonds LLC. I'll move that those three go to be adjourned for a decision on 121.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Just want to mention I'm recused on Benkar, so I'll abstain on the vote on the adjournment of Benkar.
All right, going back to the beginning of the agenda, we'll go with item 1, the new applications, which is Amity Lucas, 174 Little Fresh Pond Road in North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-96-3-43.1. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-83A 4 yards to legalize the reconfiguration of an existing wood deck that is higher than 1 foot above ground level and was constructed without the benefit of a building permit within the required front yard. This deck is located on the west side of the dwelling. In addition, applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-83A 4 yards for a proposed expansion of said deck and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction, and we have the applicant here, Amity Lucas.
Okay, very good. Amity, I just have to swear you in unless you're an attorney.
No, I'm not.
You're not. Okay, so if you can just raise your right hand and state your name and address, please.
Amity Lucas, 174 Little Fresh Pond Road, Southampton, New York, 11968.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, if you can tell us about your application.
I'm just looking to extend my deck a little bit. The one, when I bought the house, the deck that's there, it's just a little sliver. It goes out 4 feet, so I can only put a kid's picnic table there, and I just want it big enough to put a table and chairs and a lounger. And I'm going through this process because they said I technically have 2 front yards because at the back of my house, there's a dead end street. And then behind that, it's the Little Fresh Pond, the pond itself. And even though none of the houses on my side of the street face that direction and none of the houses on the pond face the street, it's still technically, I guess, a front yard considered. So I have to get the extra permission. That's why I'm here.
Okay. So, and I know as part of the application from when I reviewed it, had to do with work having, the deck having been expanded without permits. Is that accurate?
I don't know what was done before I moved in, but I'm not doing anything until I have permission.
Okay, no, and I appreciate that, but you know, the reason I ask about that is because if the deck was expanded without approvals, maybe the expansion happened before you bought the property. Maybe you don't have any information about it.
On an old survey, there was a deck and it actually looks like about the size of the deck that I want to build. But by the time I bought the house, summer of 2019, that deck was no longer there. So I had a new survey done, which you guys now have. I just had it done in the last couple months to show what's currently there, which is just a little sliver of a deck, 4 feet by 16 feet.
Okay, and was the deck as shown on the survey, is that how it was when you bought the property?
On the one on the new survey that you have that I just had done, that's how it was, yes.
That's how it was when you bought the
Touched it.
property. Okay, so you wouldn't have any information as to how it was expanded without permits?
I don't think it has been expanded. Right before I bought the house, it had been a gut renovation and they just put this little deck on it. I don't understand it. It's just a little skinny sliver of a deck where the back door goes out and the sliding glass door in the back of the house. And it's
Okay.
just wide enough to walk on and that's about it. I
Okay.
wouldn't even consider it
Yeah.
a deck.
I understand. And, you know, the only reason I'm asking about this, Amity, is because that's the way it was written in, you know, in the write-up for the application. The reason I ask about, you know, anything being as built is because we have a lot of issues with people building things without permits. And so we want to know how it happens. And
Yeah.
I totally understand. It is what it is when you bought it.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you would have no information as to how that, whatever transpired. It's just, you're trying to rectify the situation. And I
Yeah,
do
yeah.
appreciate that. Okay. All right. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about why you are looking for the relief. Have a bigger deck?
Yeah, I just want a deck that I can use. Nothing crazy, just in line with the size of the house in proportion. That's all. Just want to put a table and chairs and like 2 lounge chairs on there, and that's it.
Okay. Have you had any contact with any of your neighbors about the application?
Yeah, well, one, and I spoke, she doesn't live there yet, but I spoke to her brother who takes care of the house, and he's all for it. Everybody's very happy with what I've done with the house because what I understand, it was an eyesore before I bought it and moved in. So they're all for it, and they think I should definitely build the deck, and that's the only one I've spoken to, but as you see now, it doesn't look so hot, so I'll definitely make it look a lot better. I'm going to put sliding barn doors on the bottom of it since it's raised up, so that when I put my kids' bikes and wagons, you won't see them. It'll look nicer.
Okay.
Unknown caller.
Whoops. All right.
I have no problem with it. It looks great. Congratulations on the house, and hopefully we'll see if anybody's here.
All
Yep.
right.
We did, though, have comments from the building department, Amity, so I just want to read those to you and get them into the record. So this is from Marjorie Riley, building inspector. Her comments were the following. A wood deck was issued a certificate of compliance number A200416 dated May 27th, 2020. However, it appears that at some point this deck was changed to the existing configuration without the benefit of a building permit. And 2, the site plan shall be revised to indicate the name of the surveyor and the latest date of the survey used to create the site plan. So I think we covered number 1, but number 2 is they want the site plan revised. Is that something you can ask the person who prepared the site plan to do?
Yeah, the site plan is my proposed, what I want to do with it.
Okay.
Is that what the site plan is?
It's hard to tell. Yeah.
It looks like that's what it is.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll have him add his name.
Yep. That's all. So I think that should cover the building department's concerns. Are there any other questions from members of the board?
I have no problems with this application.
Nor do I.
Nor do I.
Yep.
Sounds like 4.
Okay, is there anyone from the public who is waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with this application, which is the application of Amity Lucas for property located at 174 Little Fresh Pond Road in Southampton? If you would like to be heard, this would be the time to raise your hand and let us know.
I see no hands.
Okay, if not, Keith, it is yours.
Okay, I will move to close the public hearing, leaving it open for written submissions. What date are we using?
We are using the date of
February 8th.
February 8th. Yep.
Okay. So I move to close the public hearing, leaving it open for written submissions to 2/8/21 with a determination. When's our first meeting in February? Or second meeting in February?
2/18.
I'm sorry?
2/18.
2/18, with a decision on 2/18.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Tuthill,
All right,
Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, Amity. Happy New Year and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adam, I'm so disappointed. You didn't start the new year off with a public flogging?
The night is young.
All right. Number 2 on the agenda is MRB ICBC LLC, 719 Daniels Lane in Sagaponack, Suffolk County Tax Map 908-001 10-4-13. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 138-20H. Notification of administrator to allow existing geotextile cubes to remain on the subject property where a time period for the undertaking of emergency activity shall not exceed 6 months and any other relief necessary.
Who do I
Board has
bring in?
jurisdiction. This is Brian Doyle, and I'm not sure who he has. And while we're looking for Brian, I just want to
I
let
got
the board
Brian.
know we will have, okay. When Brian comes on, we will also have a discussion. This property is located in the incorporated village of Sagaponack. So Brian and I have been trying to get some clarity from the village. We will be making a referral to them. Brian can update us if there is any update, but that is one of the issues that obviously will need to be resolved during the course of these hearings.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you can now see me. We have been speaking to the building inspector and to Mr. Tohill. My understanding as it relates to any referrals, that the building inspector, Mr. Woodsma, and Mr. Tohill take no position as to the grant of this relief. They've effectively said to me that they think it should be granted, but they'll be guided by this board. Part of our application initially asked for relief under 4218 G and H of the Village Code, which are the corresponding sections that we're applying for here under the Town Code, which is 13020 G and H. These geotextile cubes were installed by virtue of a permit our predecessor in interest received in November of 2012. They obviously left them there much longer than they needed to be or were permitted to be there. We purchased the home in September of this year and appear this evening effectively to legalize what we believe are very well functioning geotextile cubes that exist in the dune seaward of our property. We have, these tubes were installed in 2012 and permitted by the DEC. They exist, as I understand, under 10 feet of beach sand. They are properly vegetated with dune grass. We have had them looked at by Mr. Kuchunian, who has told us that they remain in very good shape. And it's our position that removing them or altering them now causes a much greater harm to the dune than if they were to be left there and permitted to perform.
So they've been there since 2012.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So,
and functioning now very well, Mr. Chairman.
yeah. Okay. The other question I had, well, two other questions. First, whether there are issues with coastal erosion and flooding going on, right now by this property. That's the first question I had. And the second question I had is about the application itself being before our board and versus the village ZBA.
Yeah, so we raised that, and it's my understanding that Ms. Shearer is the coastal erosion management administrator for both the town and for the village. So to that point, we were instructed by the Village of Sagaponack building inspector and the village attorney in Sagaponack to make this application before the town board. I understand the town board has granted similar relief to 313 Dune Road, but that was a Bridgehampton property.
This board, Brian, not the town board.
Yeah, forgive me. And there is, presently, this has been an historically, I want to use the word treacherous area as it relates to erosion. 717 Daniels, which is the one property to the west of us, was almost completely destroyed by Sandy. And you have in your file, our property was effectively, 719 was on stilts and was heavily damaged after Sandy. So this is, as I understand it, an area of great erosion. But right now, our property is well protected, in part, we believe, by these geotextile cubes.
Well, I appreciate the answer to the question. I think the intention, even though they've been there since 2012, even though I understand what you're saying about the dune perhaps being damaged by their removal, the language is it's for emergency activity to protect a property from flood damage. Doesn't sound like there's an emergency going on.
Well, you may create an emergency by requiring us to remove them, I think, is the theory. That there's no reason to disturb a dune that's a living thing, that's doing a very good job complying with the town's goal to protect properties along this area. I mean, the town renourished this beach only 5 or 6 years ago and spent a great deal of money doing that. And, you know, candidly speaking, this is something my client inherited. So to ask someone who seeks this relief, you know, basically with clean hands to disturb the dune, you know, we would submit is not necessary.
And I appreciate the fact that your client inherited the situation. And I'm not saying that I'm entirely opposed in any way. I just want to get on the record, you know, what is the intention of this, the geotubes? The intention of the geotubes to deal with an emergency.
Listen to me, is this area, 719 Daniels Lane, is that part and parcel to the project that we spoke to and with Aaron about, you know, the federal program that's going from Fire Island out to Montauk supposedly? So sometime in 2022, is the beach nourishment going to be happening there, down there too?
My understanding from Mr. Tuchernian is that there are preliminary plans to re-nourish this beach area around 2023, but you can speak more actively.
It's not part of the federal program, sir?
I don't know, Mr. Tuthill. I'm not sure.
Well, why don't you find out and let us know?
Okay.
Well, the board, Brian, did you submit a recent survey too? Because the board's going to need that. That would at least help show what the setbacks are for the dune. You know, it would show erosion. It would show where the tubes, you know, where the geocubes still are.
Yeah, we have not been able to get Mr. Borilski to show us the exact location of the tubes. He does have it, he believes, in his survey, but the board does have the DEC permitting from 2012 and Mr. Turchunian's plans from then, which also show the location of the tubes effectively running from the western boundary of the property in the dune to the eastern boundary of the property. And that was...
Right, but for the referrals and for the board now, they need to know what the property looks like now. I mean, I know the cubes haven't moved. I get that. But you know, what does the property look like? What does the site look like? What's the setback from the toe of the dune?
Tubes causing any erosion either side of the tubes?
No, not that we're aware of, but if you need that shown on a survey, that's fine.
Yeah, and I think also some photographs of
Yeah.
because we have a few that are part of one of the documents from First Coastal. There are a few small pictures, but more pictures so we can understand exactly what's going on the property. I think would be helpful for us and for the client.
Yeah, and just so everybody, I did go out there and look at the site before. It's a large dune system running on both sides of the, you know, this property up and down that beach area. A lot of beach grass and stuff on there. But I know Brian can get us some more photos of that. But I did go see it. It does look, you can't see the cubes in comparison to some of the other applications we saw where you can see the geocubes. Here, there's, you know, if you weren't told they were there, you wouldn't know in terms of, in my opinion, as to going by.
I'd like to find out if we're going to get a report from Marty Shea as to his input as to this matter, as he has done in cases similar to this. Katie?
Once we have the once we have the survey, we're going to make all the referrals. We didn't have the survey, and the photos that are submitted with the application are from 2012. So as soon as we get the surveys, We're gonna send it to Janice as the coastal erosion hazard administrator, to Marty, to the Suffolk County Planning Commission, and to the village.
I'm in my zoning board meeting. I'm gonna have to pull you back.
I
So,
would like
yes.
to think that this case could be adjourned because there's a lot of material that I would like to read before I can come to any decision as to the yes or no of this case. Mr. Grossman, would that be acceptable that this case can be adjourned?
Well, let's ask Mr. Doyle. But I mean, but
That's acceptable to us. That's fine. We can adjourn it for 30 days. We did submit, Ms. Garvin, an August 2020 survey to the board. I don't know if it reached you, but we can resubmit that and to you now.
How long
Yes,
you
that
said
would be
that?
great.
How long did you say the tubes have been there already?
They've been there since 2012, Mr. Tuttle.
Thank you. So
Yes,
please-
your
please send that to
intention
me.
for it to stay there forever or what?
Question? No, actually, that was my question, Mr. Doyle. Weren't these supposed to be removed by May 2013?
Yeah, by virtue of the code, yes, they were supposed to be removed.
Mhm.
And they just never were.
They were never touched by the predecessor entitled.
right. So one of the distinctions between this and the other geotube application we had is we had with the other geotube application an imminent danger to the structures on the property, whereas this does not appear to be the case. And also,
I don't know that that's accurate. I mean, this property in 2012 under Sandy, this is in a VE 17, VE 18 zone, and the house itself is FEMA non-compliant. So it's effectively, in our view, an imminent danger any day. And the house next door at 717, as I indicated, all but washed away in Sandy. So we can demonstrate that to you, but we're in a very high velocity area. So
yeah, and any information you have, whether it be information from before the geotubes were put in or subsequent in terms of erosion, will be information that will be helpful to us so we can
we
understand.
submitted that. We submitted plans from Mr. Maresca from the time when he issued the coastal erosion management permit. So if that's not in your file, we'll get that to you again.
Yeah, it may be in the file.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if it's my application to adjourn it so we can get you the survey and the documents from Mr. Maresca, that's fine.
And Mr. Shea,
Well, that'll come once we refer it.
Okay, so but before we do anything further, any other questions of members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who is waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of MRB ICBC LLC? This is for property located at 719 Daniels Lane in the village of Sagaponack. If you would like to be heard, please raise your hand to let us know.
There is someone, I believe, Melissa Meredith.
and who is Pamela Harwood?
Not on this one, on the next one.
Okay.
No, I see no
Okay.
hands.
See no hands. Also, Anthony, I'm not sure whether you have any comments about this application. Could I ask?
I actually, it was fascinating listening to it. My only question, I guess, was actually what Helen said, was if Marty Shea had an opportunity to review it. I also be curious for the board to get any information if First Coastal has some type of assessment that they did or analysis of the condition of the dune and the geotube structures that are there. But other than that, it's not a planning board matter, so we wouldn't get any comments to you on that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right.
So Brian, can you see if Borowski can put the cubes on the August survey?
Yes, we've been asking him and we'll continue to, Katie.
Thank you. Because as soon as we get that, we can send it out.
Okay.
How long do you think, Brian, to get that to us for an adjournment purpose? For you, what works best for you?
He asked for 30 days.
30 days should work. I'll ask Mr. Brilski to get it done in 30 days. If the board's at all concerned about that, you know, it's all
So
right.
get it done before that so we can make the referrals.
That's fine.
So I would move to adjourn this, keeping it open for all purposes to our first meeting in February.
And what is the
Second.
date of that meeting?
Looking at my calendar, hold on. The
It's
4th?
February 4th.
The
Yep.
4th,
Four, yeah.
February 4th.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Mr. DeSessa,
Aye.
Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Thank you.
Adam,
Brian,
just so,
good rest of your evening.
everybody.
Adam, just so you know, in regards to this application, you know, I guess these geotubes, I'm assuming these geotubes have been there for 9 years already.
Mhm.
So it's the first time they've come to ask for relief that's not supposed to go out past 6 months.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we need to be careful about the time frame. And my prior question about, is it part of the plan from Fire Island to Montauk that Adam talked to us about down with Round Dunes? You know, is it, in 2022, they're gonna get their share of sand up there or what? I don't know. You know what I mean? I just,
Right.
I have a little apprehension about, you know, I think 6 months is probably a little short period of time, but I'm not certainly not looking to give anybody another 9 years. You know what I mean?
And I think we will get some, as before, we get some guidance from Janice and we'll get some, we will get some guidance from everybody, the balancing, is it
Yeah.
better to leave them in there or, we'll get
Well,
some
I'm not-
guidance on these.
And
Yeah.
this is really kind of part of the public hearing, so we probably should reopen to or I should say, just reopen to continue the public hearing until we make a new vote. Okay. So I would make a motion that we just voted to adjourn. I would make a motion that we include the testimony that we just that just took place in tonight's public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
On February 4th, Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good rest of your night, Brian.
Thank you.
Item 3 on the agenda is Jerry Wallia, 555 Mitchell Lane in Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-50-1-8.1. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code for a proposed tennis court. 330-11 residential districts table of the dimensional regulations for an accessory side yard setback of 10 feet, where 30 feet is required, and an accessory rear yard setback of 10 feet, where 30 feet is required. And 330-7060, placement of accessory building structures and uses in resident districts for a rear yard coverage of 25.71%, where a maximum of 20% is permitted, and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction. We're looking for William Shapiro, I believe.
He's right there.
Awesome.
Good
Oh,
evening,
hi.
board members. Hi, everybody.
Okay, if you can, Will, if you can now tell us about the application, you can also state your name and address just for the record.
Sure. William D. Shapiro, 34 East Montauk Highway, Suite 3, Hampton Bays, New York. Represent Jerry Wallia, the owner of 555 Mitchell Lane. This application is made in conjunction with proposed single-family dwelling. Single-family dwelling is not part of this application. My client bought the property a few months ago. The plan is to build a very beautiful house there. I submitted some plans of the house along with it just for the board's edification. What we're trying to accomplish tonight is this tennis court a little bit closer to the property lines in the rear yard. We're going to be building a sunken court, so I think that fact will help with any noise pollution that the board might be worried about. It's also worth noting that the property line, as you'll see on this survey or these plans that's up right now, the rear lot, which is currently farmland and vacant farmland, has access by that flag lot, that flag strip, which is approximately 20 feet based on GIS. And that extra 20 feet in and of itself would kind of make up for the 20 feet that we're looking for from, for an extra buffer from any existing houses. If you look at an aerial, the only houses are over on the other side of that access.
What lot is the house that's being built currently on? Is it not on the lot right behind this lot?
The lot where they're going to be building the house is this lot. It's lot number 8.001.
But there's a house under construction right now behind this house, right?
That I'm not sure about.
Yeah.
Michael, I was out there today. It looked like a separate house that's being constructed on the lot to the east of this.
We have
That's
not tested we haven't broken any ground on this lot.
Right, so yeah, there's a house being built to the east of this.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
So, Will, I just wanted to ask you about, besides the fact that it's a sunken tennis court, are you planning, or is your client planning on having screening around the court, like trees?
That I'm not sure of at this time. If it's something that the board would condition their approval on, I'm sure we'd be willing to do that.
Okay. Yeah.
What's the size of the court?
It says 55 by 110.
Yep.
A beautiful thing.
Yeah, my question on this is, why would you pick the spot on this lot that is closest to all other homes? You know, the northeast, or in this corner, whereas if you would move it to the other side of the property, to the right, to the whatever the direction is, if you would move it to the south, you would be both away from the properties on the other side of the driveway and closer to, non-residential property.
That's a very good question, Mr. Daly. My client and his builder, as part of the aesthetics of this proposed house and where they want the sight lines to be from the backyard, that's why it needs to be in this corner, as opposed to one of the other ones. So they're trying to build a conforming house right now, and they don't want to have to apply for anything else. And I think this most easily accomplishes that goal.
Well, would it be possible to have the tennis court located, for example, 20 feet or 15 feet from the property lines? Could it be moved so it's less relief to the setback?
I would recommend that, yeah.
I'm sure that it could be, yes. I would have to discuss that with my client. I know that he had some concerns about the tennis court kind of swallowing up the backyard and being a little too close to the house. So that's why he's trying to push it farther into the back.
Okay. Because I'm thinking that maybe one of the concerns, because I'm hearing my colleagues on the board concerned about, the location of the tennis court, and maybe it would be, there'd be more support for the application if the tennis court weren't 10 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's asking for a 66% variance to keep it away from his house and closer to other people's. It's why?
Yeah.
You know how I am. Join a tennis club. Join a tennis club. I don't think it needs to be that far back into the property, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much of a request in my.
It's just a matter of what the applicant wants versus what he should be actually trying to get.
Yeah.
What if we brought it another 5 feet off the property line and made it 15? Again, he just doesn't want this court sitting right outside the house, which I think is a fair thing.
Yes.
Is it considered pickleball?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
As Mr. Daly was saying, we have to think about the people next to the tennis court.
I completely get that concern, but as I mentioned earlier, there's that flag lot next to it, so there's never going to be somebody closer than even with if you gave us the requested relief of just of 10 feet, there would never be anybody within 30 feet to that. I guess that's the northwest side.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also worth mentioning that it's a sunken tennis court. So, I mean, that does negate some.
How far is the tennis court to the house? I can't read it on there.
The tennis court to the house is,
I don't have anything that shows where the tennis course is, where the house is.
If you look on the screen, he's got one up too now, Michael.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I'm saying it seems like a good distance. So it seems like there would be room to make it, 20, 25 feet from the property line to the neighboring house and still make something work.
I would have to run this by my client, but maybe we could keep the 10 feet on the side and bring it up from the rear, keep it sunken, which is always the plan. We're not going to change that. And then put some vegetation around it that would further kind of damp the noise.
Right.
And then we're sure that on that side, where the right of way is, we have that extra 20 feet kind of cooked in based on the fact of the right of way there.
Yeah, I think that's a good argument. I think on the northern, I think that's the northern side.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird parcel in that I'm looking at the survey. It's kind of the northwest side.
But I think if you have a buffer with the flag, but I think the other side, and you have room to come closer to the house and not have it be everything. So
that's a fair point. It's a very fair point.
So
yeah, it's just too much. It's too much of a request,
But I do think
And they want what they want, and they want it where they want it.
I understand.
That's what it is.
That's not true. I'm willing to concede on some things and meet the board.
Some things, huh?
Right. Well, and that's appreciated. So
yeah, I think it sounds like Mr. Shapiro knows what we're looking for to get to 4, and it sounds like his client's willing to do it. So I think we should give him an opportunity to do that.
Sure.
Absolutely. Come on back. Our job is to give as least amount of relief as necessary.
Yeah. So
relay that to you.
And Mr. Shapiro, when you speak to your client, which I'm sure you will, would you speak to him about, not just changing the feet up here, but putting it in a location that I think that Mr. Daly mentioned.
The other corner.
Yes.
The rear corner.
Yeah.
I'd have to speak with him and his builder and the architect to see if change this substantially.
So I think we should adjourn this case, keep it open.
Yeah.
If you want to bring the architect with you, whatever. That's up to you.
Yeah.
So that we can explore all the options. And we have to find out, first of all, if there are any neighbors who have something to say too. And because I agree with Mr. Daly, it's too much over there. So adjustments have to be made in order for you to get the appropriate number, I think. I can't speak for everybody. So,
okay.
Get a date for an adjournment or?
Okay, well, but first, I want to ask, are there any other questions or comments from members of the board or Katie?
Any
Is there
neighbors?
anyone- Okay, is there anyone from the public who is waiting to be heard in connection this evening, in connection with the application of Jerry Willia? This is for 555 Mitchell Lane in Bridgehampton. If you would like to be heard, please raise your hand and let us know.
I'm Pamela Harwood.
Yes. Hi, Pam. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
That's good. Just have to swear you in. You can state your name and address and for the record, please.
My name is Pamela Harwood. I'm the chair of the Bridgehampton Citizens Advisory Committee. I reside at 371 Woodland Drive in Bridgehampton.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you can tell us your comments.
Yes, I'm trying to look at this from the point of view of your ZBA guidelines as they're posted in the town code. And I'm seeing that this is a 1.84 acre lot that is presently unbuilt. Therefore, I see it as a clean slate in which the applicant should be able to plan for all the elements that they would like to put in while still abiding by the town code dimensional rules. Your first guideline is, are there practical difficulties? Well, if you're starting out with a clean slate, I don't see there being existing practical difficulties. And also, is it an unnecessary hardship? Well, again, this is a vacant property. It's a clean slate. What are the existing hardships that one cannot build a tennis court where one would like to, only 10 feet away from the property line, which is not code? What is the benefit to the applicant here? Just to enable them to build a tennis court on a location in the property that they would prefer. This would be at the expense of enforcing the town building code that determined that this area should have large spacious lots to further the rural character of this open space agriculture area, because it is an agricultural district. Setbacks are 30 feet so that the neighbor is not right on top of another neighbor, to ensure the privacy of the neighbors and to have quiet enjoyment, and to create a buffer from the agricultural land. Therefore, by reducing the setback 67% on each side would create an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood. The tennis court can be achieved by other means, such as a smaller floor area of other structures. I noticed that there's an enormous entryway, pea gravel driveway. I don't know whether the house is set back further, then they might set it back, maybe push that forward a little bit, bring all the other buildings and structures closer together, smaller floor area, or placing other structures closer. This is a clean slate. It's unbuilt. They can do this. I also want to mention requested 67% area variance is substantial, and you are to take that into account. And the difficulty here is self-created. That's another guideline that you are, I believe, tasked with taking into consideration. This is all self-created. This is a blank slate. Everything can be done and planned and still stay within the town code. I, for one, don't see any reason with a blank slate to ask for any variances at all. Why ask this applicant to move something 20 feet from the property line when 30 feet is the code, when they have the ability to do everything from scratch? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who is waiting to be heard?
Meredith?
Just technology here. So my name is Meredith Berkowitz. I am an attorney.
Great. You're an attorney, so I don't have to swear you in. Good evening.
You don't have to swear me in, but I'm also a member of the Bridgehampton Civic Action Committee. And so the other thing, I want to echo everything that Pam said, but I also want to add to that a couple of other things and clarify. Variances, the town code is set and the setbacks are established for a reason. And the zoning board, in issuing variances, should not be usurping the legislative authority of the town and the code by then making a precedent of issuing substantial variances to allow owners such as this owner to get around those setbacks and those requirements. For example, there's no hardship here, as Pam said. They just want the tennis court, as Mr. Shapiro admitted, where they want it. There is a house being built right behind there. You don't know how they're going to build that house. They might build that house close with their backyard facing right onto that area where you have the tennis court. They may build the front of their house there. They may have a driveway there. That they haven't laid out their plans, or maybe they have, but you don't know that, and you don't know how your placement and your variance will affect them. And I think it's very important that they should be notified and have the opportunity to speak if you haven't done that already.
You mean adjacent property owners?
I'm sorry, the adjacent property owners.
Yeah, they're notified.
Okay, well then maybe they should have the opportunity to object and speak.
They always have an opportunity to do that.
I understand that, but I'm just saying maybe he should have to say that they don't have an objection. In addition, I understand, Adam. I don't know that we belabor that point. I don't do that. What we can say is that I'm saying, I just want to say again, there's not a hardship here, okay? And there is the only benefit that this owner derives from getting a variance is to put the tennis court where they want it, and to do what, and to build the size house and the location of the house where they want it. The request is substantial, and even if it's reduced, it's still going to be substantial, and there's no reason why it can't be built within the setbacks. You should only be granting relief when it is absolutely necessary, and when it's necessary, it should be the minimal amount of relief that's necessary to accomplish the benefit. I think that there would be a substantial negative impact on the neighborhood, not just for the reasons that Pam said, but because of the negative precedent this would set if you were to grant relief. And that is something that has been held by the courts, specifically in case law, that has said that you have to consider that and the negative precedent that it might set when you consider and you make these variants and you analyze these 5 prongs. And so I would just ask that the board, again, this will be adjourned, but as you go through those 5 prongs, please keep in mind that the basic standard is there has to be a hardship to even consider a variance, and that the benefit has to be outweigh the negative impact from granting that variance.
Okay. A hardship as part of the 5-part test?
The hardship
Can't be a variance without a hardship?
The hardship is before you even get to the 5-prong test. Yes. That's, do you disagree?
Might as well throw every application out then.
You don't entertain an application if you don't have a hardship.
I don't believe
We have to entertain every application, Meredith. Okay, we can't just turn them away and say no.
I'm not asking you to turn them away, but
Oh,
I'm
no,
asking
you said not, well, no, you did say that, but that's all right. Okay.
No, I didn't say that, actually. Please don't put words in my mouth, Adam, like you like to do. Please don't put words in my mouth. I did not.
And is there anyone else? Is there anyone else?
Yeah, can I hear from an adjacent property owner, please?
Is there an adjacent property owner who's waiting to be heard? Do we have any other?
Meredith, this case is going to be adjourned. If you think it's important to hear from the adjacent property owner, you could approach them and tell them about the new date that we're going to have, and ask them if they want to appear to say anything. They may want to say something in favor or whatever.
And I do plan to
Submit
do
something in
that.
writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do appreciate that you came, Meredith.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Will, do you want to respond?
Yeah. I kind of just reiterating some of the retorts that the board had. And as to the blank slate argument, then, I mean, why ever grant any variance for any new construction ever? We should just only have conforming houses and conforming improvements on every single new construction if we're going to go by that.
I couldn't agree more.
No.
Mute yourself.
You both had a chance to speak. Now he gets a chance to speak, and then you'll have an opportunity to respond.
And as the board mentioned, hardship is not what carries the day here. And I definitely urge one of the neighboring property owners to come, because from recalling some conversations with my client, they not only do not oppose this, I'm pretty sure that they would give it their stamp of approval, given that they're just a neighboring property owner. So take it for what it's worth. But I challenge Mrs. Berkowitz to find an adjacent landowner who's going to oppose this for a legitimate reason.
I'd like to say something to you, Mr. Shapiro. When you say about any new construction, I think, at least in my opinion, one of the reasons that Pamela and Meredith had the problem is because this is not, we get cases where it's 0.1. 0.01. I mean, you could barely, the property is very small. And I think what the women are saying, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that it's a large parcel, relatively large. And within that parcel, everything that the owner supposedly wants can be placed without having to come to us to ask us for any relief. Am I quoting you right, Pamela and Meredith? That the size is relevant in terms of the hardship that it presents to the claimant. That's my opinion.
Yeah, but that has to be verified. Maybe everything can be built in a conforming location, and maybe it can't. That's something that professionals need to verify.
Find out when he goes back to his and he confers with the architect and the builder.
Right.
I think everybody we're digressing. Will's gonna go back to his client. We're gonna see if there's neighbors.
Uh-huh.
Nothing is getting decided tonight, so I
That's
think
right. So we just have to get a date.
That's it?
Thank you, board member.
Okay. All right. So, Mike, it is yours.
So we are going to adjourn for a future date. Our future date options, how much time do you think that you need, sir, to, what are our options here? We have the 21st of January. Do we have any time left on that?
No. No.
Okay. So the next date after that is February 4th. We've already rescheduled a few things for that date. Do we still have time on the February 4th meeting?
Candace?
Give me 1 second. Yes, you still have room on February 4th.
Okay, Mr. Shapiro, would you like to come back on February 4th and tell us what your client is proposing?
Yes, I would love the opportunity to do that. And I think I'm going to have a statement from Mr. Matthew Sachs, who's the owner of the lot in the rear, who's building the new construction as well. I look
Okay.
forward to putting that to the board.
That's great. That's great. And you can send anything in, please, ahead of time before this meeting so we have a chance to see it.
Absolutely.
So we'll adjourn this until February 4th, and we'll see you then.
Thank you so much for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Second.
Yep. And Will, I just have one additional request. Is it possible for, if you have additional submissions, if you could forward them to Pam and Meredith as well?
Yes, if I can get their contact information, I'm happy to do that.
We don't necessarily have to do that on the Zoom, but
Oh,
yeah,
no,
do that. That would be great.
Okay, no problem.
You can do
So
it in the chat.
if one of you could, Pam and Meredith, if one of you could reach out to Will?
If you just Google me, you'll find my email address on my website, and I'm happy to share with you any additional
You
information.
can do it in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
We
everybody.
have a motion, we have a second.
We have a second, a motion and a second.
Okay. Who is the second?
I
Keith.
was.
You were. Okay. Thank you. All right. Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Mr. Hahn,
Right.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you all for your comments tonight. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Item 4 on the agenda is Richard Varela, 11 Wells Lane in Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-321-4-20. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-11, Residential Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for the following: a principal front yard setback of 19.4 feet, where 60 feet is required for a proposed roof over platform, 15 by 12 and a half, 12.5. 2, a principal front yard setback of 26 feet plus or minus where 60 feet is required for a proposed roof over 1.75 feet by 17.58 feet attached to the front of the garage. And 3, in addition, an accessory side yard setback of 16.7 feet where 20 feet is required for a proposed wood deck addition with storage on a non-conforming lot, and any other relief necessary.
Okay, for this application, we need to have Mary Riley. Mary did submit affidavits of posting and mailing on this, but we do need to have a quick conversation about it because Helen had driven out there yesterday and did not see the affidavit of posting. So I explained to Mary that the board would have to hear a little information on this prior to determining whether there was jurisdiction.
Okay, good evening, members of the board. My
Mary,
apology.
Let's swear you in before you.
Hi, sure, go ahead.
If you
Go
state
ahead.
your name and address, please.
My name is Mary Rose Riley, president of Ione Renaissance Associates, 732 Smithtown Bypass, Smithtown, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so apparently what happened, I had posted the sign on December 28th, which was a Monday. I took pictures of the posting so that I could send it to my client because he does not live in the area. He lives further west and he's not at the house all the time. So I sent him a picture,
took a picture, sent it, filled out everything. I've been in communication with Candace. I found out today that apparently the sign was gone. And I did not know that the sign had blown away. I called the homeowner and I said, we have a problem. There's no sign. So he got in touch with someone who was out there. They found the sign had blown onto a neighbor's property. That person was good enough to retrieve the sign, reinstall it, I suppose, in front of the house, and sent me a photograph of the sign and also of his cell phone with the date and time so that we knew that he had done this today. Moving forward, I know I posted the sign. I can state that in all clear conscience, and I can state in clear conscience also that that sign was reinstalled today as soon as I found out that it had blown away. As far as when it blew away, I cannot answer to that. And that is as much as I know about what happened with the sign today.
Yeah. So this is a jurisdictional issue for us.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could be that the sign was down for an hour. It could be the sign was down for 3 days. We just, or 4 days, but we just don't know. And the affidavit of posting basically is saying that the sign was up for the entire required period before we open the public hearing.
Okay.
It may be, rather archaic that we do this, but it is a jurisdictional requirement for us to open public hearings.
Okay.
So, I mean, unless other board members see it differently.
I was there yesterday several times during the day, and it wasn't an hour. So, at least it was missing for at least 1 day, if not 2 days or 3 days, as Mary doesn't know either. And I wouldn't have known if I hadn't gone. So we have not fulfilled our obligation in terms of the viewing of the sign. And I think the case has to be re-advertised for the sign and adjourned for the next available date. And then we have done whatever we need to have done.
Yeah, I think it has to be posted. It has to be posted and it has to be re-advertised, which means
Exactly.
we don't have any room on our agenda at the next meeting anyway. So it would be February 4th.
All right.
February 4th. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Okay.
All right. So
and we don't have jurisdiction, so we don't even have to vote on this. It's other than, well, I can make a motion, I suppose, that be re-advertised for February 4th. Even though we don't have jurisdiction over it at this point. Katie,
Okay.
is that proper to do that?
Yeah, but I don't think you have to vote. I think.
Then we won't. Okay. So, but it's going to be re-advertised for February 4th.
Okay. And Candace is going to give me all the information that I need in order to start that all over again.
She will.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Candace.
Okay. No problem. Mary, have a good night.
Thank you. I appreciate your time tonight.
No problem. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Cornelius has arrived.
Excellent.
Oh, and I forgot to ask whether there was anyone from the public on the application.
I have no
just
hand.
wanna make-
They
You
can't
don't
take
have
anything.
Can't do
jurisdiction.
anything anyway, but still. Yeah. So if there is anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application or of Varela, we don't have jurisdiction and it's going to be re-advertised for February 4th.
Correct.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 11, 2 Peconic Crescent LLC in Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-191-4-11. It's 2 Peconic Crescent. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code.
It's continuation.
I'm sorry. Let's continue then.
We're looking for a We're looking for a Gina.
Yes. Yeah. That is, I see that she's there. I can't see her or hear her, but hopefully she'll be on momentarily.
She took a break.
Hey, Mr. Kelly.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing well.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hi, Gina.
Hi, what are we on? I was on the phone.
That's okay.
Doc drama.
Okay. So,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Maybe you can give us an update as to where we are.
Okay, are we talking about 2 Peconic Crescent?
We are.
Okay. We are still working on this. It's really hard to coordinate the engineer, 2 architects, the surveyor, address Marty's comments. So what we did was we ended up shifting the house. Well, we ended up mirroring the house actually, to save a little more room. And then shifted it to the west, like Mr. Shea had requested. And we reduced the size of the garage to only a 1-car garage. So the garage right now, and I know you guys can't like see it, but I did forward it to Candace. I don't know if she could share it. But
Give me a minute to find it, Gina.
what?
She's looking for it so she can share it.
Oh, okay. So the garage is a 1-car garage. It's set back 20 feet from the private road. And then the house is now shifted to a point 34.9 feet from private road. From that distance, honestly, I don't think we're going to have any pyramid issues, but I do not have clarification of those cubic foot calculations yet. From Inlet Road, we are at 38.7, which I think clearly clears pyramid easily. So we're trying to appease 2 boards, obviously, and I do appreciate your patience. But I really respectfully need to wait for Mr. Shea to look at the survey. And this is only an architectural plan that just went to the surveyor yesterday. So there's just, they did not get everything together for me and enough time to get it to you on paper. The only thing was I had an electronic version late in the day that I sent to Candace and said, this is what I'm up to. I still don't even have cross sections of the sanitary system Marty asked for. All right, so that's where we're at. If you zoom in, we are battling, lot coverage, we're battling setbacks. It's a really constrained lot. So they really tried to flip and make the deck smaller and make the garage smaller, and everything just kind of shrank and became smaller. But this is where we're at right now.
Gina, how long will it take you to get all the documents that you need so that we can?
It's probably going to be at least another 2 weeks for the surveyor to give me a survey that I have something acceptable to present to you.
Is that all you need?
I would like Marty to have a good look at it and have at least a week or 2 to give his sort of verbal okay that these setbacks look good. And then
I'd like to see it in writing, Gina.
Yeah, I would like to see, some recommendations from him in writing. So I know I'm only making 1 more change, etc.
So it takes 2 weeks for the survey and say a few days a week for him to look at it, study it, and write a written report. So in 3 weeks' time, you should have all the documents.
Marty's kind of backlogged. I would say at least 4 weeks.
4 weeks, okay.
At least 4 weeks.
At least 4 weeks.
Okay. Candace, I'm sorry I missed the beginning of the meeting, so I don't know how packed we are. Is February 4th reasonably open?
I think they need more time. So I think
Okay.
the second meeting in February is what would make more sense based on what you just said.
Second meeting in February is February 18th.
Yeah.
February 18th. Okay.
Okay, I'll let the team know that my D-Day, I need at least a week in advance.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you so much for your patience. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. This took a lot of planning to try to plan for this lot.
Yeah.
So we're getting there. We're almost there.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you. Be safe, everyone.
All right.
Any other questions from members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard this evening in connection with the application of 2 Peconic Crescent LLC? This is for 2 Peconic Crescent Road in Tuckahoe. If there's anyone who would like to be heard, please raise your hand and let us know. Be the time.
No hands.
Okay. Cornelius, it's yours.
I move to hold the application over until our February 18th meeting.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Mr.
Second.
Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa,
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess, Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
All right, item 12 on the agenda is Scott and Jenny Damas, 10 Marie's Lane in North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-62-2-24. This is held over from our December 3rd meeting.
Okay, I see that previously Richard Matthew had been the attorney on this. I see Scott Damask. Good evening, Scott. You just have to unmute yourself.
Good evening.
There we go. I believe I swore you in last time.
I don't think so. We didn't come on yet last time. Richard, I believe Richard should
You
be
did it by himself. Okay, then I just have to swear you in. If you can.
Yeah, and Richard should be here this evening. Richard should be presenting for us this evening. We're just signed in.
Okay.
Let's call it
Do
the watch.
do you want us to second call it so to give him more time to arrive?
I didn't know he. Okay, I apologize. I just wasn't aware he wasn't logged in. I just assumed he. I assumed
Well,
he was.
let's check. Charlie,
Yes.
you see Richard Matthew? On Zoom?
No.
No.
Nope.
He emailed me and said that he was trying to log in. He wasn't sure if he was logged in properly. I sent him the link.
It's not on.
He just wrote me just now that he's. I think it's we were 12, so I think all of us had a little bit of a feeling that we were going to be a little later. It came up.
Okay. Well, Scott, why don't I at least swear you in? If you can state your name and address, please.
Sure, absolutely. I apologize. Mast, 10 Marie Lane, Southampton, New York, 11968.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think we're gonna give Richard a couple of minutes to maybe log on. I'm hoping he's watching, working
Unless
on.
he's
Yeah,
on with a different name.
Yeah, he just wrote to me literally. I just got a message from him at 7:19 saying that he asked me to make sure I was on. So where
Maybe he's on under Charles Certain.
It's possible. I assume he'll be in any moment now. That's the best I can
Let's
say.
do the decisions, Adam, and we'll just second call it.
Oh, we have Raphael next.
We did
Don't
that
we?
already.
No, Raphael's reopened.
I thought we did.
Well, we did the reopen, but then we have to talk about what we want to do in terms of putting it over.
Sure. I think if we give him just, obviously I can't be 100% certain, but the fact that I got an email from him a few minutes ago, I assume he's in the process.
Okay, we're going to do a couple of other things while he's working on it. Let him know that we're waiting.
You could be assured I just did.
Okay, very good.
Item 13 on the agenda is Robert Raphael. I move that we reopen.
Keith, excuse me. Adam, you already did Raphael. You reopened it and then you adjourned it to January 21st.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Okay, Keith.
Okay.
Well
That's
done.
correct.
Well done.
So shall we do the decisions?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tuttle.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a decision on the matter of the application of Stacy Mintz. This is for property located at tax map number 900-288-131.21. This application is for property located at 12 Polo Grounds Lane, East Quogue. Applicant requests variances to legalize an extension to an existing deck. While this board does not condone construction done without the benefit of a building permit, this application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the town code. Therefore, and for the aforementioned reasons, this board grants relief to the applicant from the following provisions of the town code. 1, to legalize an extension to an existing deck. 1, 330.11 residential districts of dimensional table of dimensional regulations for an accessory side yard setback of 7.7 feet where 20 feet is required from the northwest property line. And 2, 330.76D placement of accessory buildings, uses, and structures in all districts, and 330.83C yards for an accessory structure deck located within the required minimum side yard for the principal building. And 2, 330.77D placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in residential districts for a rear yard coverage of 26.7%, where a maximum of 20% is permitted for structures shown on the survey prepared by Floyd Carrington of Rayner, Marks and Carrington, surveyed September 6, 2019, last revised November 17, 2020. Grant to the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Mr. Daly. Mr. Daly.
Oh, sorry. No.
Okay. Ms. Burgess.
No.
Chair votes aye. Next decision I have is on the matter of the application of 2266 Montauk LLC for property located at tax map number 969-2-17.1. This application is for property located at 2252 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton. Applicant seeks variances in connection with the construction of a proposed 2-story building for a restaurant, cafe, and 4 senior apartments and a 2-story dwelling. This project was classified as an unlisted action. This board coordinated a review pursuant to SECRA, and the planning board, as lead agency, adopted a negative declaration. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State town law and the town code. Therefore, and for the aforementioned reasons, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the town code. 330.34 business districts table of dimensional regulations. 1, for a principal front yard setback of 27 feet from the southerly property line, Montauk Highway, where 30 feet is required for a proposed 2-story building, restaurant on the first floor, and 4 residential senior apartments on the second floor. 2, for a principal front yard setback of 26 feet from the westerly property line, Butter Lane, where 30 feet is required, and a minimum side yard setback of 12 feet where 15 feet is required for the proposed 2-story dwelling. And 3, for a proposed total lot coverage of 20.03%, where a maximum of 20% is permitted. And 2, Town Code 330.83G1A yards, to allow the parking area to be located within the transitional rear yard at a setback of 15 feet, where a maximum of 50 feet is permitted. These variances are granted for structures as shown on the survey prepared by John Borilski of Borilski Land Surveying, dated July 15, 2019, last revised January 2nd, 2020, and the site plan and floor plans prepared by Kurt C. Lehman of AML Architecture for the Cafe Restaurant Apartments, dated January 2nd, 2020, and the plans for a single-family residence dated November 10th, 2020. The granting of these variances is conditioned upon the installation of screening along the transitional yard area by the applicant as agreed upon between the applicant and the adjacent property owner to the north, as well as any additional screening imposed by the planning board, and the continued maintenance of said screening by the applicant and all subsequent owners of the premises. Granted, the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired and may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Right.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa. Brian?
Aye.
Oh, I hear you now. Chair votes aye.
Such a soft-spoken man.
Little hiccup with the sound. Okay. Next decision I have is in the application of 192 Hampton Bays Realty LLC. And this is an amended decision for property located at 900-221-317. On April 18, 2019, by decision number D019047, this board made an interpretation and granted variances in connection with a proposed convenience store as accessory to a proposed gasoline filling station. By letter dated October 26, 2020, Ronald Cupola, architect for the applicant, requested that the decision be amended to address proposed changes to the interior floor plans of the convenience store as well as the site plan. At the public hearing on this matter, Ronald Cupola, architect for the applicant, testified that since the 2019 ZBA decision, and in part due to the pandemic, the applicant has reconfigured the site and the layout of the convenience store by, among other things, decreasing the sales floor and increasing the walk-in refrigeration area, adding an office, as well as eliminating 2 filling stations, and as such requires an amendment by this board. Specifically, Mr. Cupola testified that the footprint of the building remains the same as what was considered by the board in 2019, but that the interior retail sales area, convenience store is slightly smaller, comprised of 1,292 square feet, where 1,515 square feet was initially considered by this board. It was also discovered that there was a discrepancy in the size of the building referred to in decision number D019047, as the 2019 plans indicated that the building boasted 3,545 square feet, which is the size it remains proposed today, whereas the decision stated that the building is 3,000 square feet with a survey/site plan stating different numbers. Therefore, since the use of the building remains the same and the sales area has been reduced, this board amends its interpretation in ZBA decision number D019047, dated April 18, 2019, to find that the 3,545 square foot building with 1,292 square feet dedicated to the retail sales area convenience store is a customary accessory use to the proposed gasoline filling station on the premises, as shown on the boundary and topographical survey prepared by Martin Alexander Reed, licensed surveyor of Pinnacle LS LLP, last updated October 20th, 2020, and the floor plans prepared by architect Ronald Cupola, dated September 20th, 2020. All other provisions of decision number D019047 remain in full force and effect. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Let me see. Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Last decision I have is on the application of 225 Butter Lane LLC and 251 Butter Lane LLC for property located at tax map number 952-1, lots 36 and 36.15. This application is for properties located at 225 and 251 Butter Lane, Bridgehampton. Applicant seeks a lot and flagpole width variance for proposed lot 4 of a 4-lot subdivision. This proposed action is an unlisted action, and this board conducted an uncoordinated review pursuant to SECRA and hereby adopts a negative declaration. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief to the applicant from the following provisions of the Town Code for lot 4 of a proposed 4-lot subdivision. 1. Town Code 33038, Industrial Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for a lot width of 139.16 feet, where 150 feet is required, and Town Code 33082, lot width for a flagpole width of 10.01 feet, where 20 feet is required, as shown on the survey prepared by Stephen Barilski on March 18, 2019, last revised January 28, 2020. Granted, the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises. Do we have a second? Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Recuse myself on that application.
Chair votes aye. And that is all I have in terms of decisions.
All right, Mr. Chairman, what are we doing about, what are we doing?
Excuse me,
about
I have a decision.
Wait, hold on. It looks like we have somebody, maybe Richard calling in. Richard Matthew?
Yep, that's me.
All right, why don't we quick do this and then we'll finish the decisions.
Okay.
First of all, let me apologize for not being able to get through on my computer. I've been watching you all along. I sent Candace a note saying, Keith, you were making me hungry.
I still am hungry. You know, potato chips don't do much for me, Richard.
In any event, to make a long story short, we have completely changed this application, amended it to take into account the concerns expressed by the neighbors. Instead of a two-story structure, which required over 1,300 cubic feet of pyramid relief, we have a single-story structure, which requires 27 cubic feet of pyramid relief. We need 1/10 of 1 foot less side yard area, side yard variance, for a total of 27 square feet of side yard relief, because the property tapers or actually widens as it goes towards the center. The relief is required from the building at from the Marie's Lane side, about 18 feet down towards the other front yard. I'm kind of a little nervous because I'm so jammed up from watching you and not being able to get onto it. So just to reiterate, we submitted a new set of documents on Monday, which included the survey, a letter from the building plans prepared by David Sherwood, architect, and an artist rendering or computer-generated rendering of what the building would look like now. And I believe that you have all of those documents there. We emailed as well. Are you following me?
Yeah, we are. Richard,
Okay.
do you have communication with the neighbors, the ones that were concerned about this?
We had sent them the drawings before Christmas. I confirmed with them before Christmas that they had received them. I found out today that they had, in fact, passed them on to the neighbor on the other side for his comments, and I assume that they're not there, so I'm taking that to mean that they have no objection. We have taken care of the eyesore that they saw, and have also agreed to put some plantings in between the two properties. Mr. Damist had agreed that there would not be a window on the side of the house facing them, the side of the new addition, although the architect thought that there should be. But since he gave his word, he wants to keep true to faith. And if they change their minds down the road, well, that's something else. In connection with the neighbor on the north side of the property, we have come up with a plan to put the air conditioning units that were on the west side, south side. No, I was right. The neighbor on the east side, we put the air conditioning units that were on the west side behind the house towards Fish Cove Road. So they won't be in anyone's view anymore. And as far as the test goes, the 5-prong test, this will not create any detriment to the character of the community or impact the neighbors, as evidenced by the fact that the objectants have withdrawn apparently their objections. The variances are minimal. As I said, it's 27 cubic feet of pyramid law and 27 square feet of area on the side to 9.2 and total of 24.2. This lot, as you know, is a 10,000 plus square foot lot in the area zoning district that requires 40,000 square feet. It's inherently impossible to do anything with the property given the zoning constraints. There is no alternative way to solve the problem other than seeking a variance. And other properties in the area have similar size structures. And speaking of the structure, the current structure is 1,328 square feet. The proposed addition now is 550 square feet on one level, and for a total of 1,877 square feet, 78 square feet, which is certainly not a mansion by any stretch of the imagination. There is a variance required on the Fish Cove side to 42 feet, which is also set forth in my letter. And the existing front yard setback on Marie's Lane on the other end of the property is 45 feet, so they're in the range of each other.
I had a question. Looking at the survey, it indicates 22.24 lot area. Do you need relief for lot coverage?
We do not leave. No, the building department made a point on their correspondence last time around saying that the surveyor apparently included areas in lot coverage that are in total coverage but not building coverage.
Okay.
And so a review of the correct numbers indicates that we don't need lot coverage relief at all.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Is that going to be corrected? That should be corrected then.
It is corrected
Okay,
on the survey and in my letter.
okay.
So the version we're looking at, I guess, is the prior version?
The new survey is dated December 2020. Doesn't have a specific date. And Candace had advised me the other day or yesterday that she had received it. I dropped 10 copies off at the mailbox on in the lobby on Monday afternoon.
Okay, as long as we have it.
They're there.
Wanted to make sure.
Adam, I'm sorry, Richard. The survey that is dated December 2020,
Yep.
under lot coverage, this is what Adam is talking about. It still says deck. If the deck, it doesn't have a roof, it doesn't count, and the pool wouldn't count. And I don't believe the egress walls would count.
Is it?
So the lot coverage is still showing over 20%.
I think he's making a point that the lot coverage and then something called total lot coverage.
Okay, Adam, I see what he's saying. It's at the top here. See, it says 15.75.
Yep.
So
Yes.
that would be the total lot coverage percentage.
Okay, as long
That's correct. That's the lot coverage.
Okay. It is a little confusing though.
I understand. There are certain jurisdictions. He's not local. He's from Center Reach, as you can see on the stamp. And there are certain jurisdictions where they take into account things called lot coverage and total lot coverage, which is all the structures, regardless of whether they're buildings or habitable space or not.
Okay.
So I apologize for the error, but
No
for the
worries.
misleadingness, but it's there.
Okay. The other thing I just want to mention, Richard, is I greatly appreciate all the effort you and your clients have put into revising what was previously proposed based on the.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
And I'm going to learn how to get onto the sneaking computer one of these days. I promise you.
Okay. Are there any other questions or members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who is waiting to be heard on Zoom this evening in connection with the application of Damask? This is for property located at, I believe it's 10 Marie's Lane in North Sea. If there's anyone who's waiting to be heard, this would be the time to raise your hand to let us know.
No hands.
Okay. All right. If not, the application is yours, Jason.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing, leaving it open for written submissions until 2/8 of 2021 and a decision on 2/18/2021.
You don't need a written submission from us. There are no survey requirements, no survey revisions necessary.
Yeah, no, it's just on all applications, Richard, we have a period for public comments.
Gotcha. Sorry, I apologize.
It's not, yeah, it's not for any other purpose. It's for every application.
Matthew.
Okay.
Richard, you did well. You only apologized about 10 times today.
I'll tell you more about it, Keith.
So we have
2 hours of watching, and then I can't get on when it's my turn. Talk about frustration.
Technology. So Jason,
Exactly. So I'm again it.
Do we have a second on the motion? Who was the second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Tuttle's the second. Okay, Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Scott. Have a good
Thank
rest
you,
of the
board, council.
Thank you.
Well done.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Okay, I think we have one more decision.
Yes. I have a decision at 145 Meadowlark Lane LLC. Applicant requests relief for a proposed sunken tennis court. The property is at 32 West Pond Drive, Bridgehampton, Town of Southampton, County of Suffolk. Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-84-1-32.19 comprising 62,589 square feet in an R60 zoning district. This is a type 2 action. On the public hearings, Brian Lacasio, attorney for the applicant, testified that the applicant sought approvals to build a tennis court on a corner property. There was no opposition to this application. Therefore, it passes the 5-part test, and this board grants relief from the following provisions of the town code for a proposed 110-foot by 55-foot sunken tennis court, 330-11, for an accessory distance from street setback front yard of 59.4 feet, where 70 feet is required, and 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83C yards to allow the tennis court to be located within the required total side yard of the principal building. These variances are granted for structures as shown on the survey prepared by Stephen Barilski, land surveyor, dated May 12th, 2020, most recently updated October 13th, 2020. And the granting of the foregoing relief is subject to all other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may all otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Hahn,
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Recuse myself on that application.
Chair votes aye.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question for you, if I might.
Sure.
Maybe I missed this. 192 Hampton Bays Realty LLC.
I believe I read that one.
Yep, that was
I
the
did.
gas station.
Yeah, that was the
Okay.
amended decision.
Yeah. Yes. All right.
Yeah, so that one was
And
done.
2266 Montauk LLC.
Yep, I
That
read
was the restaurant
Okay. Sorry.
cafe with the apartments on top.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to close.
Well, before that, I just want to ask Anthony if you had any comments, having sat through a ZBA meeting for the first time.
Oh, that was great. I think the board asked a lot of questions of the applicants. And
Oh, you haven't seen anything yet.
I know. Well, that's good. And
You haven't seen anything.
that's good. But no, I think that obviously there's a lot of applications that, residential that you're dealing with that I'm not going to comment on, obviously. But things are, I think, going to pop up from time to time. Site plans, commercial projects, subdivisions, 94 Dune Road, Docker's site plan, for examples, one. There'll be a lot of comments, and I think it'll be good. I think hopefully I can provide some insight to some of the planning issues where it's necessary. And but I think the board was good tonight. I enjoyed listening.
Well, I appreciate your joining us, and I think your being involved only enhances what we're doing as a board. So I greatly appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And don't get spoiled about how short this one was. They very
Yeah, very rare, very rare. Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to close.
Yes.
No, Keith, not yet. Adam, I have a
Come on,
question.
Candace.
Did I miss the Santora decision?
Oh, the Santora decision was adjourned. Should have been. We didn't, you're absolutely right. We didn't vote on it. I don't think. It isn't on my list. So I know we're waiting for a revised survey. So I'll make a motion that we adjourn the decision on Santora until our next meeting, which I believe is
21st.
121.
121.
Second.
Do we have this? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for pointing that out, Candace. Totally
Okay,
missed
thank
it.
you.
Yeah, no problem.
On the ball.
Okay, and with that, do we have a
Motion to close.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are closed. Have a good rest of your night, everybody.
Enjoy.
Good night.
Happy New Year.